Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 5 of my Everything Possible Before the Gargoyles playthrough. For you guys that have been following the series, you'll know that there's been a humongous gap in between the last video and this one. So for that I apologize. I was getting a little burnout on Dark Souls. I decided to take a little bit of a break, ended up getting sidetracked playing a couple other games, and just never came back to it. I also had a catastrophic computer malfunction. Thankfully I was able to save the hard drive and grab all my data off of it. But the good thing is I got a new computer out of the deal, so it makes editing videos and stuff a little bit easier. But anyway, let's get back into it here. Last video we left off, I was heading down to the bottom of the Great Hollow into the Ash Lake area. So you can see I'm almost all the way down there right now. I think I picked up about... I think I killed 9 lizards, and apparently, according to the comments, there was a 10th lizard. I think I mentioned that in the video. I was told where it was. If you go through the comments, you can probably find out. So for next time, I can probably grab that 10th one. Good thing I was able to score a couple of slabs out of the deal. So along with the slab I got from the Stray Demon, that makes 3 slabs on this trip. Anyway, I'm going to come down here and fight this first Hydra. I'll say up front, I didn't do very well against him compared to the other Hydra. It's because I usually don't come down to Ash Lake. There's really no reason to come down here unless you want to join the Dragon Covenant. It's pretty much one of my least favorite covenants, so I usually don't bother. It's just not worth the effort for me. It's just a long trip down here and a pain in the ass to get back up. A lot of times I'll just run past this Hydra. But since I'm going for more of a completionist playthrough this time, I'm going to go ahead and take him out. So you're going to see me get hit a few times here in the beginning. And I realized after this fight that I made a big mistake by trying to fight him up close. It's actually better to fight this guy farther back. The good thing about this fight is you don't have to worry about falling off the edge like the first Hydra. This guy is so close to the shore that you can fight him up at the top of the beach. And this is exactly what I should have been doing. By being so close, he's getting past my shield even though I'm blocking it. So I get close to dying a couple times here being an idiot, but thankfully I pulled out of it and was able to take him down. Before I fought him on video, I did do one quick test run with another character, and I had a little bit better time, but I think that's because I was farther up. So what I did notice fighting him before is that when their heads are floating around, you can actually hit them. So before they attack, like at this animation right here, their heads are still vulnerable. And if you hit them and cut their head off, it kind of resets the animation. You can essentially continue attacking it without him ever being able to attack if you can aim at the heads correctly. That's why I'm so low on the beach here. I'm trying to do that, but I just kept missing, so it wasn't working out. The other thing is, this is essentially the same Hydra as you fight in the basin. He has the same attacks and everything else. He just, I think, has more health and he does more damage. So a little weird phenomenon with this guy is every time you cut off a head, it essentially sends him back and you can't attack again. It kind of resets his animation. But there's no limit on the amount of damage you can do. So even if you only cut off one head, you might do something like 20% of his damage. So the fact that he has that many heads doesn't really matter. You can actually kill this guy before you take all the heads off. I'm sure some of you guys have probably already realized that on your own. At low levels, you tend to have to cut every head off because you're only doing so much damage. But when you have a really strong weapon like I have right now, you'll see like then, I didn't count exactly, it seemed like he had at least 4 heads left. But anyway, that Hydra went down. He almost took me down with him, but thankfully I was able to survive. So that's pretty much it for him. I don't think I get every little treasure down here because I just wanted to get the hell out of here. There's a few dragon scales laying around. There's a couple other treasure. There's a spell down here I'm going to show you here in a minute. And of course there are those big clams, and those guys can drop a purging stone and twinkling titanites. So I'm going to show you how to take these guys out real quick. They're not really that hard. They do a lot of damage. So now I'm going to show you another little trick. I think I mentioned this in a previous video. Essentially it's like an infinite stun lock. The problem with a big weapon like this is you can only swing it so many times before you run out of stamina. Then of course any stun lock you have going on an enemy ends. But the way this works, you simply hit the enemy and get him stunned, and then you wait about a second, and then before the enemy fully recovers you hit him again and it restuns him. So if you swing too quickly, it doesn't re-stun him, and it just counts as a second hit of the combo. But if you wait long enough, it stuns him again, and you can just keep doing it over and over. That way you recover your stamina. You can pretty much do it infinitely. It does work with certain bosses that are stunnable. It actually works with Gwen. Now, I haven't done it too much with him, but I know that it's possible. I've played around with it, but I generally just parry him, or... Actually, I don't fight Gwen all that often, to be honest with you. But I know that it does work with him. So anyway, I think I'll show you again here when I fight the next clam. I'll give you a good example of it again. Basically, I'm going to stop in here. There's a spell down here to pick up. It's a little tricky to get. You want to be a little bit careful because you definitely don't want to die. You get a little too antsy, you'll run off and fall in the water and put an end to your fun. So you just drop off right there and get you inside the tree higher up where you can't actually get any other way. It's right there. And that's really the only thing special I think that you can get out of this zone. Everything else is mainly just dragon scales and whatever you can get off the clams. And of course joining the Dragon Covenant. I really like this area. I think it's really cool. I wish I would have done more with it. There's just not enough enemies, and there's really not enough to just do down here other than join the Covenant. So I want to try the stun locking thing again here. So I stunned him there. See, I was a little bit too soon that time. It didn't work. So let's see if I can get it right on the next guy. I mean, there's no real specific timing to it. You just kind of got to get the feel of it. Oh, I think that was the last guy. But if you didn't get a good chance to see it, you can just rewind it a little bit and watch me fight the other one. I did it right on those first two. But anyway, if you noticed, I haven't done any bonfires. Again, that's purposeful. The reason being, I don't want to run all the way back up because it's a pain in the ass. So the last bonfire I used was at the top of the Great Hollow, and then you just have to be really careful to not die. The goal is to use that bonfire, make it all the way down to do what you want to do down here, and then simply hum or bone back up. Done correctly, you save a lot of time. Now, if I was to die somewhere around here, then I would basically lose any time I thought I would have saved by not using the bonfire. Thankfully, I make it, but for someone else playing who's new to this game, it may not be quite so easy. So when you join the Covenant here, you get to pick up the Dragon Headstone. I don't find it very useful on its own, but it's fun to play with. The good thing to get from this Covenant is actually the Dragon Body, but it takes quite a few Dragon Scales turn-ins to get it. I think it's something like 30 or something like that. Anyway, but as you see, you just cut off his tail. It doesn't aggro him or anything, and that's the way to get his weapon. So now I warp back, and I'm running back down to pick up a few things I didn't get the first time. Just trying to be efficient. I didn't want to try to grab everything on the way down because sometimes you have to go back up. And it's not really a linear path down the Great Hollow. There's a couple of alternating branches, you could say. So I'm just making one more trip down here to pick up a couple things. I'm really hoping to get a couple red chunks. I actually have a plan to use them. And there's not too many places before you can get to Lost Izalith where you can pick them up. The rockworms do drop them very rarely, but it's not a very efficient way to farm. And since I'm not really allowing myself to farm as part of the challenge, I'm just going to make sure I pick up as many as I can off of corpses. But essentially, I got everything I need out of here. I think there's a few other things floating around, but I think I got anything that I thought could have been a red chunk. So now I'm just going to warp back to the top and make my way up through Blighttown. So I really didn't... I did the first half of Blighttown, but now I get to go up the back entrance and pick up as much stuff as I can on the way. I'm also going to stop in and grab the Pyromancer set from the swamp because I didn't grab it the first time. So my guy's pretty strong now. Blighttown's not much of a hassle, other than the fact of the mistake I mentioned before. I came down here very unprepared. I should have had some purple blooming moss because the toxic dart guys are here. And staying alive, fighting a few of those guys gets a little difficult, even with the high-level character. The toxic eventually wears you down. So I'm going up here with my 5 Estus flasks and whatever stack of humanity I got. I'm going to try to make a run for it. Just switching my gear around again, and then make my way up. So essentially, this is the way you're supposed to go through this area. A lot of people hate Blighttown. They don't even want to go through the depth, so they end up not actually ever having to come up this. They generally just go down. I guess they do come up, depending on if they use the bonfire warp or not. But going up is definitely a little bit more difficult than going down. And if you want to have a surefire way not to fall off the wheel, just watch the method I use, because I used to fall off a lot too. Because I would get too antsy and want to jump off early. So just be patient. Wait till you get to the top. Right there is where most people want to jump, and you end up falling in the crack. But if you wait to the top like that, it's guaranteed every time. I don't know how many times I died before I actually caught on to that. So as I said, there's a couple things in this area to pick up. These can be grabbed as the very first things you grab in the game, if you're so inclined. There's that little tricky tree branch to run across here. I've done it many times, so I don't really have to slow down too much for it. But the red sorcerer set is here, and also the remedy, which I've actually never cast, I think, ever. But I'm here, I'm going to grab it anyway. So that part was easy. Actually, I found going back across the other way tends to be a little more tricky. The mosquitoes don't actually help. Thankfully, I didn't fall off here. That'll make an idiot out of myself. So I grabbed that. There's also a Firekeeper soul down here. The thing about the Firekeeper soul down in Blighttown, if you get it before you free Lordran or fight the Gargoyles, it triggers him escaping on his own, and he will kill Anastasia. So any of you guys trying to do early runs, just remember that. If you want to keep the Firekeeper alive and you want to kill Lordran, make sure you do it before you grab this Firekeeper soul that is right here. Anyway, you can see I'm already toxic. I don't have the blooming moss. I was really hoping that when I kill those guys, they would drop it, because they do randomly drop it. But unfortunately for me, they never once did it. So now that I'm already got toxic status, I'm just going with it. I'm just going to try to out-heal it. I got 30 humanity. Or is it 30 or 10? Actually, no, I got 10 humanity. My bad. I'm looking at a small screen as I'm doing the commentary. Anyway, I got enough humanity. I got enough Estus flasks. I figure at this point I can make it through. So I'm just going to kind of bum rush through here. So if it's your first time down here, it's easy to get lost. But there is an escape from that area to get you back to the platforms, and the path I just showed you was the way. I'm pretty much done here. There's only one more thing I'm going to grab, and I don't actually need it, but I'm just going to show you guys where it's at. There's a chest up here with a key in it, and that key unlocks the new Londo shortcut. If you start with the master key, you don't really need to, but not everyone does their first playthrough, so they might get a little lost and not be able to figure a way out to get back to Firelink. So this is the actual method of doing it. I think it's one more level up, and you can see I'm still fighting the effects of the toxic. I ended up burning through a lot of my humanity, which brings me to a point. I've seen a lot of people comment about, why am I burning humanity? Why am I not using my Estus flasks? Well, there's two reasons. Number one, I like to save my Estus for emergencies because they're instant. Humanity takes longer to use, but it heals you to full. So when you have a big stack of humanity, I just tend to use it. Early on, when you're new to the game, humanity seems like a really limited resource, something you don't want to use. But as you play more and more, you realize it's not that hard to get. You've seen me have a pretty good stack of it. The other reason is soft humanity, which is referred to as the number you see on the top left. It actually gives you benefits. It actually raises your defense and resists and stuff like that. When you get to 10, it gives you the maximum item discovery you can get from pure humanity. But defense and resist-wise, it actually continues to go up till 99. So it's not wasted. Actually, I have higher defense right now than I would if I had no humanity. So anyone who was wondering, that's basically the reason. I just don't like to waste it on... I guess you can't say waste. I don't like using it on the bonfires. I just really don't need to. I'm not like OCD about it, where I feel like I have to get every bonfire up to 20 to feel happy about it. I'm cool leaving most of them at 5. Occasionally I'll put 1 to 10 if it's a really rough area. But you get good enough at the game, get good enough at dodging, you'll realize you don't really ever need 20 Estus flasks. If you ever need that many at one time, you're getting hit way too often. With high enough armor and good enough dodging skills, you really don't need that much of it at all. I would say it's very easy to complete the game on new game with only 5 Estus flasks at one time. And I imagine with all the humanities I've had, I probably say I could do it without ever using an Estus flask, just using pure humanity. But anyway, I'm going to go through and clear out my inventory again, since I want to do everything on video and not actually edit anything out. I'm just fast forwarding through here real quick. I picked up a ton of stuff already. I'm only a couple hours into the game. So there's only really 2 areas left in the game that I can get to. One is the Catacombs and the other is New Londo. So obviously I'm going to go to Catacombs first, take care of that. And then my final trip of this playthrough is going to be to New Londo. So there's actually only one more video after this. I've already been here once, the very beginning, but I didn't really pick anything up. I just pretty much went straight down to Pinwheel area, grabbed the stuff out of the Tomb of Giants, and then got the hell out of there. So now I'm going to go back through and pick up as much as I can in here. A lot of people hate the Catacombs. I can't say I'm a really big fan of it because I really just don't like fighting skeletons. They're just a pain in the ass. But since I'm really over leveled and over geared, this is not going to be too big of a deal. You'll notice I put on the Eagle Shield. I'm not really a big Eagle Shield fan, but since I'm running through here, it actually comes in pretty handy. It's got really high stability, so I can take a lot of blocks from the skeletons. You notice I'm not killing them. It's because there's really no point. I don't have a divine weapon, and so they're going to keep coming back to life until I kill that necromancer, which I just did. Now I'm just going to kind of bum rush through here in the beginning. You're probably wondering why I use the bonfire when I don't normally do it. The main reason I did here wasn't because I expected to die. It was mostly because, much like Great Hollow is, there's not one linear path down to the bottom of Catacombs that allows you to pick up everything. You kind of have to do it in 2 or 3 trips. So that was the main reason. I'm going to get to a certain point, then I want to be able to warp back up, run back to the next area, warp back up, and then go all the way down to the bottom. So I'm just going to pick up every little thing I can find. At this point, the souls are really pointless to me. I mean, I'm already, if not already, I'm pretty close to level 50. All the souls I'm picking up in this area really aren't going to do much for me. There's one back there I'm not even going to bother grabbing. But I'm just going to get the ones I see so people watching can know what everything is. Now I'm going to assume most of you guys watching actually have played this game a few times. Probably very familiar with it. But I'm sure there's a group of people that really are pretty new to it. With the PC version coming out soon, I'm sure there's going to be quite a few people that are extremely new to the game. They're going to get a lot of information out of it. So sometimes I'm going to do some mundane things just to show. You'll notice I really don't try killing any skeletons until I kill a necromancer, as I mentioned. I mean, it's just frustrating, basically. Anyway, there's some crystal lizards down here, which is what I'm going for first. I wasn't able to get both on the first shot, so I'm going to go back and do my reload trick. So if you missed the other video, the trick is, if you miss a lizard, simply quit the game and restart, and it'll reappear. Instead of having to go from the bonfire every time, this is the quickest way to do it. So I grabbed the 2 lizards out of here. Now for my, I think I'm going to hit the blacksmith next. I'm trying to think what I'm doing. And remember, it's been a while since I've watched this video. Anyway, I'm just kind of rushing through real quick, but if someone's really interested in the path I'm taking, you can slow it down and rewatch it. There's little pitfalls here and there, and it kind of ends up being almost like a maze and puts you back in previous areas. But you can tell I'm really familiar with the area, so I make it probably look a little bit easier than it is. For new people, there's a hidden bonfire in here that I'm going to show you the path, but I'm not going to use it. So if you go up that little area right there, you're going to end up with a bonfire. I don't want to use that because then I have to run all the way back up from here. Patches is already dead, as you know from the first video. If he wasn't, he would be there waiting for me. And he would be a little ass and flip the bridge when I wasn't looking. But thankfully I don't have to worry about that. So here's the method to get to the blacksmith. You jump off the bridge right there, and if you don't pay attention, you'll miss the Great Scythe. I've done it a few times. Because once you drop off, you can't get back to it without going back up. So killed that necromancer, got my Great Scythe. I'm going to drop off here. The trick with falling to the blacksmith is not rolling off. Actually, that wasn't as smooth as it should have been. I almost died there. If you try to jump or roll off, you actually will miss the platform. Usually just running off is the best way to do it. So I'm going to spend a couple minutes here. I'm going to really fast forward this, but you'll be able to see pretty much what I'm doing. I bought some more Homer Bones. I'm going to spend a lot of souls on getting some shards. I'm basically going to upgrade everything I can upgrade. At this point, I'm going to burn through all my souls. Since I'm getting towards the end of my playthrough, I'm just going to use everything I have that's a consumable item. You'll see I'm actually going to put that, I'm upgrading my bow, both of my shields. My halberd was already upgraded, but you saw I upgraded a Murakumo as well. So, since I'm showing what is possible, instead of just sticking with the Black Knight halberd, I decided to go ahead and take a normal weapon and upgrade as much as I could. So you see I got it to a Chaos +3. Then I'm using the steel armor that I happened to get from that Bernanke Knight back in the parish. It's a little bit lighter than the stone armor, and it offers about the same protection. So I'm going to go ahead and swap over. It actually fully upgraded using one of the slabs. I was able to get it to +10, and the defense is actually better than the stone armor for a little bit less weight. Plus, I think it looks a little bit cooler. So anyway, as you see, I warped back to the bonfire. Now I can run back through here again instead of having to run back up manually. Running up the catacombs is not as fun as going down. So anyway, got my Chaos Murakumo. I've never really used it in PvE too much. I have played with it. It's a really good PvP weapon once you get used to it. It stun locks like a mother, and it's got good range. But I'm not used to it in PvE, so it takes a little bit of time to wind it up. You gotta get used to it. But it really is a great weapon, by the way, and I think it looks cool. One more necromancer, and this guy actually happened to drop another lantern. Now, I've heard someone, actually I didn't hear it, I read someone say that sometimes when there's a type of enemy that drops something special, if you haven't got it by the time you kill the last one, it will drop it automatically. Now, I can't say if that's true or not, but it does seem rather strange that the very last necromancer did drop it for me. So there might be some truth to it, I'm not sure. Maybe somebody else can mention it in the comments and see if they've had luck with it. So I'm making my way back to the top. As I was saying, there's no real simple linear path down here. In fact, I think it's impossible to make one trip down here and get everything. You can't get to the blacksmith at the same time as you drop down and pick up the stuff on the ledges, as well as go into the Black Knight area. So you'll remember this area from the very first video, except this time I'm a little bit tougher. I'm actually going to take out this titanite demon. One of the other limited resources you're going to run into doing something like this is demon titanite. Titanite, see I slipped up again. You think you can only get 3. There's only 3 demons in the beginning areas that will drop it. Once you get to Last Izalith, you can farm them, because there's one of these guys that continually respawns. And there's also a couple treasures you can pick up, a couple corpses that have it, or chests that have it in Orlando. But at this level of the game, you can only get 3, which is part of the reason I didn't stick with using the Gravelord sword. So my plan was to do like a super uber drop. Didn't quite work out that way. I kind of stalled. I didn't aim right. But it is possible to jump down, dive through the floor, and land straight on that Black Knight's head. It kind of worked. It just didn't work as cool as I thought I was going to do. So I killed him, killed the Titanite demon. One more trip back up. And this is the shortcut down. If you want to get down to Pinwheel without doing the cheat that I did in the first video, this is the way. I say cheat like that because I had a few people complain that this is supposed to be the way to get everything without using the bottomless blocks glitch, yet I was still using a cheat in order to get to Pinwheel early. Well, the method I just showed you is the way to do it. Obviously, when I did that, I just wanted to show that it could be done. As you saw, it was one extra drop from where I went. And actually, if you time it, this actually gets you to Pinwheel faster than doing the homeward bone trick. So for all you haters out there, I just showed you the other way to do it. So Pinwheel's already dead. I'm going back to Tomb of Giants to grab one thing. That's the large divine ember. It's probably the most nightmarish ember to get in the game. I'm doing it blind because I know a way to do it that will work fairly easily. But I'm sure most of you probably won't want to try that. But anyway, it's not hard to get to. It's towards the beginning. Getting to it is not so bad. It's actually getting it. There's 5 large skeletons down there. And so if you don't go down there with a plan, or you don't go down there with enough defensive armor on or anything, you'll probably get killed pretty easily. So you get to the bottom of the ramp, you hang a left. Again, I'm kind of going slow here because even though I know the area, I still don't want to run off the edge. I'm still using the eagle shield because it's easy to block these big guys' attacks. So you see there's 2 here, and you drop in this little hole, and you're basically in the tomb where they're at. Now there's many ways to get this. Some people make a mad dash for it. Other people cast spells. I have my own little method I came up with. It's a little risky because if I miss my jump here, I'll fall right where they're at. I would survive it with this character, but nonetheless, I wanted to show you an easy way I found to do it. So I got my power within on, so I'm doing lots of damage. I lock on to verify that they're down there. Give it a couple seconds to let them pile up. Then I just drop down and do a plunging attack. Now it is possible to kill almost all of them in one hit. I think I got 3 there, and that left me 2 stragglers. That's 1 down, 1 more to go. I think it's probably possible to get all 5 in one plunging attack. That would have been kind of cool to show you guys. I think I was a little too premature on my drop. But anyway, there's the ember. I probably made it look a little easier than it actually is. Got a nice soul there. And I'm heading out of here. Pretty much got everything I need to get out of here. There's probably a few little things I didn't grab from Catacombs. But I don't want to make any extra long trips. Probably get a little bit boring to watch. But at any rate, we're running pretty much towards the end of this video here. There's 1 more to go. After this, I'm going to take a trip down into New Londo and take out the 4 kings. And that'll be the end of the series. So I'm going to do a quick repair here and just head on down. Hopefully I'll have the next video up in a day or 2. So until then.